Local scholarships are some of the greatest opportunities for students to get their college paid for. And when it comes to local scholarships, often there is less competition, it's lower hanging fruit, it's just an easier win, and more than likely you'll know the organization, and so you can trust that it's legitimate. In the scholarship system course, we teach our students all about how to uncover these local scholarships. And so today, in today's video, I want to share with you just some of those tips so that you and your student can focus on them too. Now, make sure you hit subscribe because every week we release a new strategy on working towards that debt-free degree. Hey there, my name is Jocelyn Pearson, founder of the Scholarship System, where we redefine paying for college to help families build strong financial futures rather than ones where they are paying on student loans for right now an average of 21 years. Now, scholarships is our bread and butter. In fact, just last month, our family has brought in over $155,000. That's in 1 month. So we've seen a thing or two when it comes to local scholarships. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, in many cases, local scholarships are not as well advertised as the big ones. A lot of people will see the Coca-Cola, the Dr. Pepper scholarship. These are well advertised, but local scholarships can be harder to find, which actually is a good thing for our students. Now, luckily, if you know how to look for them, with the right strategy, which is what we teach in the scholarship system, then you can find them too. So I'm going to share a few ideas, but I also am going to tell you about a free training that I have. It's about an hour long. You can find the link in the description or go to thescholarshipsystem.com/free training. I cover even more examples of how to find legitimate scholarships there, as well as some kind of little golden nuggets on how to manage the process. So make sure you check out that free training when you're done here. So where can we find these local scholarships? Well, first and foremost, the guidance office. And this actually pertains to both high school and college students, which might be surprising to you. But that said, going into the actual guidance office, having your student go in and talk to their counselor, they often have a filing cabinet where they just print it out and email with a scholarship application or scholarship information and just put it in that filing cabinet. Now, many schools these days, they will put a lot of the information on their websites, but sometimes they forget and sometimes they just don't get to it. So you should always have your student go in physically to ask them. One of the members on our team, actually, she said she went in multiple times and it created a relationship with the counselor to where the counselor actually helped her on one of her biggest wins. So again, even if maybe the scholarships are on the website, if your student is showing interest in these, then a counselor might keep them in mind for other opportunities. Now, a second major source of local scholarships are community organizations. So within the community, there are often local foundations that offer hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to their local teens for college. And what's cool about these is a lot of times if a student wins them, they can continue applying and reapplying as an alumni recipient once they get to college. So even if they've left the town and they're already at college, oftentimes they can still be eligible to apply if they got it their senior year. This can be cities, towns, municipalities, but one of our favorite searches is to search for community foundation scholarships in your area. That's how you can uncover a lot of these. Now, the next one is local businesses. This can be anything from utilities companies to doctors, lawyers' offices, banks, credit unions, the list goes on. But local organizations often want to give back to their local students, and it's kind of a way to market themselves with the local community. So it's good to think of businesses that we frequent in the area that may offer scholarships and even ask them if they do. Now, the next one is parents or caregivers' employer. So a lot of times a parent's employer or caregiver's employer will offer scholarships to the students of their employees. So it's always worth asking the employer. One example is actually Chick-fil-A, where this is not even just for parents that are employed, but actual students. If they work for Chick-fil-A, they could possibly get scholarships too. And in fact, they actually partner with over 100 colleges and universities through Scholarship America in order to provide these scholarships for students. So Chick-fil-A is a great example of an employer that supports students in their college experience. Okay, the next one might seem a little old-fashioned, but they are online as well, but that is a local newspaper. So believe it or not, sometimes scholarships will publish their application information in the local newspaper. This might sound crazy, but there are scholarships that go out that go without any recipients, any kind of applications. We've had some email us asking us to advertise for them because they haven't received anything. So that said, they can get desperate for applications. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. And so they sometimes will publish it locally in the newspaper. Or another angle for this is that sometimes they'll write an article, say about a teenager or a recent grad that won a bunch of money. And a lot of times they'll list the list of scholarships that they received, which means that if they got them locally, then your student probably can too. So I would look into those. Now, like I said, newspapers these days, they are online, so you don't have to physically receive the newspaper or buy it, but checking online could be an option too. Okay, now the last one I want to cover is social media. So we teach so many different ways to use social media and Google to find scholarships, but following local organizations, institutions, and local common scholarship providers can be great ways to stay on top of application deadlines if they're announcing a scholarship application. So social media can be beneficial in this area. You can also look up #scholarship on different social media avenues and see what comes up so not even necessarily locally, but across the country for different passions, different interests. So social media, it can really open up the doors to a lot of scholarships. And I want you all to remember that not every scholarship that is out there is on the big sites like FastWeb or Chegg or College Board or whatever search engine your family is using. A lot of scholarships do not list on there because actually they often charge a fee to do so. So for example, through the scholarship system, we provide scholarships every single year, thousands of dollars, and we've never once put it on the search engines because they charge, I think it's like $600 FastWeb said they charge, and that was years ago, just to list a scholarship on their website. So for me, I would rather give that $600 in a scholarship award rather than worry about getting it on a search engine. So that's a perfect example of why looking in these ways that I just shared is so important, because you want to uncover the ones that are not on those search engines, that have less competition, that are harder to find, and therefore easier to win. So whenever in the scholarship system, whenever we're teaching students what to do, we're always explaining to them tactics that can turn the dial in their favor, is what I say. They improve their chances of winning one tactic at a time. And finding the right scholarships, but also finding scholarships that have less competition, is something that really turns that dial in their favor. So that is why we don't want to go necessarily over the Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper scholarships, but more of these local ones. And that's why this video is so important. Now, comment below, has your student found any local scholarships? And if so, what's the organization they found it through? You don't necessarily have to share the link, although bonus points if you do, but more just to give ideas of areas that families could be searching. That would be so helpful to everyone in the community and a great way to give back. All right, so that said, make sure your student is applying to local scholarships. This is some of the lowest hanging fruit. They won't be the biggest dollar amounts typically, but they can add up to that free ride, which if you know anything about my story and how I got my college paid for, that's how I did it. I got those smaller scholarships that still added up to a free ride. These local ones are one of the best ways to do that. Again, make sure you hit subscribe, because this is just one strategy of many that we share when it comes to paying for college. And don't forget about that free training I mentioned. The link is in the description on how you can build a list of legitimate scholarships and my 6 steps to securing scholarships for college. All right, I'll see you in the next video.